My daddy is Nicholas. My mommy is Stacy. Daddy is Nixie.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's been a while. Finally, we're having our first live webinar.
For today's webinar, we will be focusing on choosing a career path or managing your business with Western Astrology.
Yes, we have invited our friend Monkey, in short, MK.
Yes, MK is the founder and the chief consultant of East West Astrology.
Yes, basically, he fuses the merits of both Chinese and Western astrology together. And he uses most of it for his consultations.
Yeah, so that's actually very pretty unique. So before that, we have 3 participants who have agreed to come on our show. And what will happen is that MK will do career reading for them live on this show.
Yes, live.
So yeah, the participants can actually judge for themselves if Western astrology is accurate or not.
But if you have any questions or any comments, don't hesitate to post them in the comment section through Facebook or YouTube.
Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome NK on board.
Yay!
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Okay, just let me get things going. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, maybe I think it's good for me to give a little bit more in-depth introduction about myself. Okay, I've been in the corporate world for quite some time, 16 years, quite a long time. All along, I've been with a MNC insurance company as a business director. So the thing about my practice is kind of unique because Nick and Stacy were mentioned, right? I combine East and West methodology together. Okay, so for the Eastern side, right, I think some of you guys may be quite familiar with, which is like the 八字、紫微斗数, feng shui, and system like the I Ching, this kind of stuff. And I think the Western side, right, will be another lovely addition to most practice that I think not so common in Singapore. Although there are some Western astrologer, but chances is they might not actually combine the two systems together. Okay, so another part of what I've been doing, right, is actually the financial astrology, which is leveraging on the Western astrology concept, and basically is to forecast the economic and also the financial market movements. That's one big part of what I do. The other part is also using Western astrology, which I focus on psychology, astrology also, to actually more towards the business coaching side. So business owners, salespeople, I got a clientele regarding this business coaching. Yeah. So on the other hand, I also conduct astrology and feng shui classes for professionals and also enthusiasts who actually like to learn more about this system. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction about myself. I think most of us, right, I just want to give you also a brief intro about Western astrology because some of you may not be so-called in tune with the Western astrology. So basically, it's very simple. And by the end of this presentation, right, you'll know that I'm actually quite a simple person. As in, I go straight to the point. I touch on only stuff, right, that's practical and can be used. That means to say you can apply and you can see results straight away. So basically, Western astrology, to me, right, is a system that utilizes planetary effects on an individual. What do I mean by that is because we are talking about like the real planets. As we speak right now, they are still up in the galaxy, are still moving. I'd be very concerned if they are not moving. So we are talking about planets like Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. They are all upstairs right now. They are just there, okay? So I think if you have study or you have probably just read some trivial things about Western astrology or even astronomy, so to speak, right? You will find that there are some studies been done, right, that some of the planetary movements or luminaries or stars, right, actually have some impact on us. So one of the commonly known so-called example that I can give you, right, is actually the moon phases. Moon phases actually impacts on the tides, and then it's actually quite vital for fishermen to know when to go out to the sea and fish and when to get a good harvest and how to time the trips. Okay. Okay. So what is not Western astrology, as in the in-depth that what we stuff that we've been doing, right? Is actually, it's not a usual horoscope column that like you read on papers, or I don't know whether it's on papers even right now, or even you read from internet, right? You would probably would know that you are born in a certain month and you belong belong to a certain zodiac sign. So, for example, you're born in June. Your so-called, we call it sun sign, but which is your zodiac sign, is actually in Gemini. Okay, so that's commonly known. Okay, then you read all the Gemini stuff, and then you realize that some of it like resemble me, and some of it doesn't. So actually, later I will show you, right? It's actually more than just your zodiac sign, which is the month that you're born in. It's much more than that. Okay. So what do we need actually to so-called go in depth in terms of Western astrology, and what it can do for us? Actually, if you look at it, right, first of all, what we need, right, is we need a person birth date, okay, birth timing, birth location, okay, to erect a chart. Later, I'll show you the sample chart so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, from the chart, right, we can actually extract some information from there, and with that kind of information, we can actually help us in the following. Okay, okay, yeah. So first of all, right, from the chart, right, you can understand more about your strength, your weaknesses, and your blind spots. Especially some of the stuff that you've been telling yourself are quite rubbish, that you actually it's not true, and then you believe in it, and then it's sort of like hinder you to the next level that you whichever goal that you have set for yourself. So that's one big part about what I actually help my clients to do using Western astrology. The other part is very more focused, right? Because some of my clients come to me, they ask, "Oh, I want to know more about career." By career, I also mean business. If you are running a business, I just use career so that it's easier for us. So I don't have to like repeat two words. Okay, how you conduct in your career, right, is probably how you conduct in a business setting. Of course, I know the setup is different, but it's just that you don't change. You see, you will still behave the way you behave. Okay, so how you treat your staff, how you treat your subordinates, how you treat your suppliers and stuff like that. So we have to actually look in details, which is what is actually the session today. So we actually raised so to actually volunteer the chart, and we'll talk more about it later. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the chart, right, we can also see something about your relationship. So relationship, I'm referring to more on the family and what I call that, the romantic relationship. So your partners and stuff like that. So that's the relationship building part that we can see from there. How actually you view relationship and how you treat other people. Okay. Okay. Then there's another part, right? Is actually which kind of like most people would like it, is to like predict life events, like what's going to happen next year or the year after next, or what actually happened previously, like last year or the year before last. So this part, right, I just want to say something about this, right? Actually, it's very, very scientific, because it's more like, instead of saying that it's astrology, right, it's actually more on the astronomical calculation, because the planets will move at a different speed or the same speed that we have recorded. That from there, right, we'll be able to deduce the information and the influence on you year by year. So that's actually how we actually do the prediction on that part, so that you actually have some foresight to what you want to do next. So basically, this is the gist of what we can do. Of course, Western astrology, when we need the timing, right? Later, I'll talk about the difference between the Chinese astrology and Western astrology with regards to this approach. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just to touch on the different specialization, it's just like if you study to be a doctor, right? You can be orthopedic, you can be oncologist, you can specialize in certain field within, but you're still known as a doctor. So there are different specialization in terms of Western astrology also. So first thing will be the vocational astrology, or commonly known as the career astrology. Then of course we have the psychological, and the financial astrology. The first three is actually what I focus on, or what I specialize in. The mundane astrology will be more towards the world affairs, like what happened, which country don't like which country, and sometimes you can also use between mundane astrology and the other one that we talk about is the meteorological astrology, right? You can also predict like earthquakes and volcano eruptions and stuff like that. Okay, so then the other part, the meteorological astrology, right, actually is very, very useful for farmers. For example, they need to plant their crops and then they need to so-called time their harvest and things like that. So that's very important for that. Relationship astrology, also what in technical jargon we call synastry, right, is a focus area on relationships. So it's like the, like 八字, right? 八字 is like the four pillar of destiny. It's one of the Chinese astrology techniques, right? It's just like when before you get married, you can see whether you are compatible with this person. So in business relationship wise, right, you also look at the two different person natal chart, and then you compare, and then you see whether you are compatible or not. So that's actually the relationship astrology. Okay. The other part is actually the Astro Cartography. That's like where should you be heading? Okay, for example, from your chart, you say that okay, I should venture into China. So you should go to China that side, and then you actually will do better there according to your chart. Horary will be more like the predictive methods that if you have a question, like for example, should I get this house or should I choose this career, so to speak, right? You can actually use that to let's say you have a job A and job B, or you have two business that you're considering which one to set up, right? Sometimes you also use this horary to aid us in terms of the decision making process. Okay. The last part, not actually, there's still quite a lot of specialization. I just listed a few. The other part is actually medical astrology. As the name implies, right, you will know that it focuses on medical care. So, for example, from the natal chart, you will know that what kind of areas that the person need to look into or be careful about, so that because that is naturally, or when it's born, that there's this energy that brings along, right, that shows that actually is weaker, he or she is weaker in certain organs, so to speak. Yeah. So that's medical astrology. Like I say, I focus on the first three, which is what which is the mainstay of my so-called practice.
Sure.
Okay.
So, MK, just a question. So you're saying that in a chart, you can actually see whatever they listed in the previous slide, if you were to analyze it.
Sorry, you mean this one?
Yeah. So in a person's chart, you are able to see everything from point 1 to point 9.
Okay, to be fair, right, point 4 and point 5 has to do with the world affairs. So that's another section. So it's like the world affairs. So it's got nothing to do with the natal chart. But using the same platform that we are talking about, which is still on this Mars, Venus, all these planets and all these positions, right, we can actually deduce a country actually have a birth chart where it declare independence. For example, like Singapore, right? Singapore is declared independence in the 9th of August. I almost said 8th of August. 9th of August, 1965. Yeah. And there's a certain timing, is 10 a.m. in the morning. So actually, right, when we go down to this kind of natal chart, we can actually see some things happening to what the country will go through in the coming years and stuff like that. So that's mundane astrology. Okay. Then the other part is actually the meteorological, which is more on the weather and all these things. So you are number 8, right? Horary is more on the predictive part. So you don't need a person natal chart. But I can tell you the first part, which is the career astrology, and the psychological astrology, the second part, would have covered quite a fair bit of information for most people who are interested in their life. The only part that is a small fraction is actually the medical astrology. Yeah, that one is not my forte, I must say. I focus on financial astrology. It's just like it's just like a doctor. He's still a doctor, but it's just a specialization. He's chosen to be like a PD or like a orthopedic, that kind of oncology. Yeah. So it's a specialization.
Okay.
Yeah. So
sure.
Focus on. I hope I answer your question on that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just to show the statement that I made previously, right? On the fact that it's just not based on one zodiac sign. Like for this person, right, it's actually born in the Scorpio month, which is likely to be in November. And you notice, right, there are other planets, right, that is actually involved here. So without going through a 1-hour astrological class, right, which planet stands for what and all this thing, I just want to highlight the point that whatever you're reading on that column, right, it might not cover a lot of information for you, because there's so much more. So basically what happened is, right, all this planet, right, was the position, okay, was the position at the time when this person was born, okay? So we basically take a photo of it, that's all, we just like a snapshot of this positions, right? And then that's from your natal chart. So next time when I mention natal chart, when I mention birth chart, they all mean the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
And each one of us actually have a unique chart because it's even twins, right, will have a unique chart because twins usually will take some time for the first one and the second one to come out. So and the Earth actually rotate 4 degrees. Rotate 1 degree every 4 minutes. So as you can see from that, right, you notice that we will have a difference in terms of the chart orientation. That is also one of the reasons why, and I encourage more of my clients, right, to give me the most exact so-called birth timing they can get. In Singapore, I think it's quite okay because it's quite straightforward that the time is there, especially for guys who were born so-called in the modern times, not like 1920s, 1930s kind. The timing may be a bit not so soon. Yeah. So this is just a glimpse of what will be a natal chart will be. Okay.
So basically, the natal chart will show the position of where the planets are, correct?
Yeah. Were actually.
Were. Yeah, were at the point of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, right, this person is born. I just randomly say the date, so maybe 6th of June, 1949 at 5:23 p.m. So these were the position back then. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you just need to know this part. Okay. That's all the astrology you need to know for today.
Yes.
Okay. The rest of the stuff I will translate in English to you guys. Okay. Okay. Now, why I touch about this personality and persona thing, right? I think if you have visited this career fair, right, there's always a booth, right, somewhere, some corner, right, will actually help you to find out what your personality will be, or you answer some questions, and then they will tell you what our strengths are, and then they will point to you like which kind of a career or which kind of industry you should go into. So there are actually many kind of such so-called personality tests that is in the market to help individuals to find out where they actually should be heading towards to. Now the interesting part is they all come in shapes and sizes. Some of the common stuff that you can see, right, will be DISC. Anagram is also the other one that's quite common, which is based on 9 types, and then you also have Myers-Briggs, is based on 16, if I'm not wrong. And then you have some strength finder kind of tests. I think some actually is copyright. So basically, all these tests, right, even you visit any. Sometimes sometimes you go for interview, right? Some employers, they actually use this, okay, to help you guys to help them to assess whether this role or any other role that is suitable for you. So there are certain truths to it, because not just the individual are using, some of the so-called HR folks, right, and also the headhunters and the recruitment side, right, they also use this to so-called help the individual to identify, not so much on the choosing part, but identify their strengths so that they can best so-called put them in a position whereby they can excel. Okay, so now the reason why I show this slide, right, is also the reason is very simple, because I want to show you what Western astrology can do, and to a certain extent, right, it can go down a deeper level, because this one have to talk about your upbringing and stuff like that. There's quite a bit of information you can draw from there. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So now, so before I even start on anything on this career profiling thing, right, I just want to make this thing very, very, very clear. Now, especially for Chinese astrology, right? I study Chinese astrology, so for some time I also practice Chinese astrology. So Chinese astrology is quite famous for the 5 elements, which is the wood, fire, metal, earth, and one of them, water.
Water, yes.
Okay, yeah. So see, that's the few elements that we are talking about. And if you visit, or if you actually engage any Bazi master, or maybe even Ziwei Dosu master, right, they will have said that, oh, your chart lack of some elements, or overweight in some elements, right, then you should choose certain industry based on that element. Okay, so for example, earth industry will be more like an insurance, or you lack of earth, maybe you should go to insurance industry. Now, Western astrology doesn't operate on that kind of plane. Okay, Western astrology actually got 4 elements, which is the fire, earth, air, and water. And the air is actually quite unique, which is different from Chinese astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. So you will never have that air element down there. So the 4 elements, right, in Western astrology actually helps one of the components, right, that we use, right, to determine the functional role. Then again, right, what is a functional role? So I give you a very, very simple example, right? Like for example, let's say I read your chart, okay, and I went through all the stuff, right, and I realized that, hey, you actually like a kind of like a teacher or a coach profile, for example, I see from there. Now, if I see this kind of functional role, which is like you ought to teach, or you ought to preach, or you ought to give knowledge or preach knowledge, right? Then I don't really care what kind of industry you're in. Which you can be in the pharmaceutical industry, you can be in the shipping industry, you can be in insurance industry, finance industry. As long as your role involves some form of a teaching, preaching, and guiding people, because based on the profile we see that, right? Yeah, then you are likely to like that role. You're likely to not just one factor, you also have to like other factors, right? You are likely to excel if you pick up other traits of what you need to, the domain knowledge within that industry or within that role that you have. You are likely to excel and be happy about that role. Now, if you are not so-called going according to your functional and see in your chart, very likely, right, you are dragged to go to work every day, okay? Very likely, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so sometimes, right, it's quite evident when you see from the chart. So later we can actually have an example for the three participants, right? We can see what from the chart we can see what can we tell that maybe they're more inclined to certain stuff. Okay.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Okay. So okay, this is just to complicate matters so that you all like think that it's quite good. But actually, when we strip down everything, right, it's actually quite simple. Okay. So there are several aspects that we are talking about before we actually can so-called see your career profile. Of course, I'm not going to cover everything today. Okay, because it's too complicated. But this slide is just to tell you that when we look at a holistic picture about the person personality, the person psychological inclination, the zodiac sign, the elements that is in their so-called their chart, we will tend to have a good picture about where the person will go towards to. Okay. So that's just to show you that the overall things that we do. Now, just now I mentioned about Chinese astrology, the difference between Western astrology and Chinese astrology, right? One of the things will be the industry specific, which we already covered already. Western astrology also operate more on when it comes to erect the chart. I mean, if you're interested, right, just share with you guys that the latitude and the longitude, which is the location of where you're born, right, actually matters quite a fair bit. Okay, so there is a difference between a person born same timing now in Singapore compared to say United States. Okay, the chart will be different. Okay, so it matters, and also because every 4 minutes, right, the Earth rotates 1 degree, right, things will change. The time that I need from you guys, right, will be also quite kind of exact, like whatever is shown in your birth cert. So that's the difference. Because Chinese astrology, right, is like a 一个时辰2个小时 that means 2 hours. It go by the 2 hours kind of timeline. Okay, so which means to say that anything happens between 7:01 and 8:59 a.m., for example, which is the Chen hour, the dragon hour, it will be the same. In terms of Chinese astrology, when they erect the chart, it will be the same. Okay, whether you're born on 7:01 or you're born on at this 8:59. Okay.
So are you saying that Western astrology is more accurate in that sense?
You're putting me in the spot. Okay. I will put it this way: it's not the craft itself. Okay, based on my experience, it's the person who performed the craft that matters. Okay. So far, I have seen people who practice different kind of methodology, right? If they are quite well versed, that means to say they have experience, they put in their hard work, and then they actually went through a process and they read a lot of charts and stuff like that. So I don't really care whether you are using Chinese astrology or, for that matter, even Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is actually Hindu side, Hindu side. So that you have Chinese astrology, you have Western astrology, you have Vedic astrology. So it's actually the person who performed the art that matters. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's more accurate. I'm just telling you the difference, and there's that's why there's a difference in terms of how we apply. So we can't say that.
So the different technique lah. Okay.
Different technique, yeah. So Zurich also, for example, they use pseudo stars. That means star that is like a, it's not like a Western astrology. Western astrology rely on the real planets. Yeah. Then Bazi is even different. Bazi will use based on the 4 pillars and with the 8 character down there. So we are comparing apple with orange lah, basically. So it's not real comparison. Now the most important thing is what can you do with the output that when you consult the person. Yeah. Then
The
can you
result of it, yes.
yeah. So I think that's a more important question to answer. Okay. So this is the part that I just also want to draw a bit of clarification down here, because some of my clients or even my friends or whoever, they have been reading horoscope and then they realize that it doesn't resemble that at all. So let's say they're born in June, for example, that we read, always go and read the Gemini column, right? And it's just like don't resemble them, and because it's like 不像我嘞, that kind of thing. So they sort of like drop the whole thing and say that this whole thing is like not accurate, kind of thing. Yeah. So there is a possibility that if you're born in June, for example, and not supposedly, actually your sun sign, we call it sun sign in our technical jargon, right, is still in Gemini. That one cannot run away. That means you're still born when your sun is actually in the Gemini sign. The thing is, you can be exhibiting behaviors or behaving like a Scorpio.
Okay.
Yeah. So many will think that, maybe just run off by one zodiac sign. No, it can be very different. You can be like you can be a Gemini and you can be a Capricorn. You can behave like a Capricorn. So, and because we actually just now when you see the chart, right, we have the sample chart that we have, right, there are many other influence on the planets, right. So when we need to do a certain kind of calculation, right, and then arrive at which actually zodiac sign that you belong to, and then you realize that once you arrive at the right zodiac sign, right, you realize a lot of things start to click. Yeah, and this is just one part of it because we haven't seen the elements, we haven't seen other stuff. So basically, look at it, it's just not as simple as what most people who have not studied or come into contact with Western astrology think that is kind of like a simplified.
Yeah, you can find it. You can find it in the newspaper, those horoscope reading.
Yes, we have in the newspaper. I didn't really like read, but anyway, right now there's you can extract all this information from internet. It's kind of like quite readily available about the zodiac characteristics. Yeah, but the thing is, right, what I'm trying to say here is you may be reading the wrong zodiac sign for the longest time. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why I convey the message. Yeah.
Sure. Got that. So meaning that even if you are born in June, you may not be a Gemini, maybe a mix of stars. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Correct. You will still have
what your nature chart, yeah.
You will still have a bit of characteristic of Gemini, no doubt, because you're still born there. But you realize that you may be exhibiting other kind of behavior. Yeah, but that's not so much from the 3 participants today, because most of them they will probably exhibit the behavior, right, in the month they are born in, because they're quite strong. Because after doing the calculations, I concluded that they are still very much the month they are born in. Yeah, later we can see. We can. It's not just for the 3 of them actually. So sometimes it's easy for us, right, to see ourselves from other people's conversation. Like when I read their chart, right, other people might get some insights also. So not just them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I think I have come to the introduction part about what's the theory part. As you know, I'm very much into the practical part. So the next step is probably we will jump to the so-called the career reading. Of course, we can read more than just career, but this session will focus on the career reading side. So
Sure.
BGR stuff.
Okay, we can give them a glimpse of it if they ask, right?
I can if they want me to share on this platform. I'm more than okay.
Okay, sure. So, so we have, as mentioned, we have 3 participants. So they've agreed to come onto our show. So let's invite our first participant, Rayson. Rayson? Okay, hi, Rayson.
Hi, Rayson.
Hello.
Hi, Rayson.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to
Hey,
see you guys.
Hey.
Actually on the way to somewhere, but I'm still able to come on board. Hold on, just give me a moment.
Okay. So we got you at that time, but you're not driving,
No
are you?
worries.
Okay,
No,
so
I'm on the bus,
stay safe.
so yeah, it should be okay. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's really a very great honor to see you, and also at the same time to get to meet Stacy and of course her husband. It's been a while. I've met Stacy
Yeah.
already, and really how do I put it? Like really excited for her to have this show. Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully, it'll be helpful to you.
Okay, no problem.
This career reading.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Okay, so let me just kick off by saying that Rayson, I think you are born in the Virgo month, right? That one you are quite aware of that, right? Yeah. So after doing some calculation, right, you're kind of a true blue Virgo lah. That means to say you are like you exhibit the Virgo behavior. So
Okay.
Virgo stuff, right? I mean, Virgo behavior. I think all this information you can actually get from the internet. You know? But the thing is, whether you're Virgo, that's another thing. So you confirm you're Virgo. So for the purpose of sharing with the rest of the audience, right? So I just mentioned about what Virgo will kind of exhibit lah. So Virgo usually, right, will be they are usually quite meticulous. They are quite detail oriented. Okay. They are also kind of like they like to critique lah, but for the benefit of other people. Okay. They are usually also the good side is they're quite detail oriented, right? The other side is can be quite picky. The downside,
Okay.
yeah, because if you are very so-called meticulous, right, you have certain standards that you want to so-called achieve in your work or in your career. What happens is when it translate out, right, it can be seen as you standard very high lah. We call it perfectionist lah. Okay, perfectionist. That's one of the common things that we talk about Virgo. Okay, but Virgo will be actually the best person to reach out to for certain characteristics. Okay, there's this particular not just Virgo, but because they have this Earth element with them, right? They are actually kind of like quite good in executing stuff. They are quite good in SOP stuff. They are quite good in processes. And more often than not, right, they are very, very good at improving stuff. So, for example, what do I mean by improving stuff? That means to say, right, you may not like to reinvent the wheel, but when you actually have something that is like working, but you want to make it even better, okay, that's like your forte. You see, your tanjia thing, lah. Okay, that you can actually do that. Yeah. So this is like more like a general guide to how we see. You also will be more inclined to be a little bit more I would say a project basis lah. That means to say you don't like to like stay in one spot for very long. Okay, so maybe so you need a bit of variety in your life or in your work lah. Okay, I have to be very careful. This one apply to work. I never say about relationship. Work. Okay, so
Hey, Rayson, if you don't agree, you can always tell him you don't agree.
Later you can. I will just download some information.
This one, I believe I do agree. Like in terms of like, I need a variety. Like other than being a psychiatric nurse, I'm also a show host. I'm also a speaker. I'm also a coach. So it's a wide variety of stuff. But of course, I focus a lot on my other craft, which is the hosting, okay, and coaching as well. More so than my her primary job. But of course, because I'm already like acing this job so far, so that's why I'm able to focus on other things as well. I do agree on this. But of course, I'm also curious about the relationship side, which I will ask you, up front in a short while we are talking about career stuff, So yeah.
Maybe let me finish on the career part.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think I just want to round that part out because there are certain signature that is in your chart, right, to shows that you belong to more on the preaching and teaching. Just now I gave the example, right, teaching, preaching profile, right? You definitely yours is like a cannot contest one like a textbook example. Like if I teach my students, right, that all of them will point to you that you are some kind of a teacher or a coach, okay? And most of them will come from the angle of a self-improvement, beliefs, and so learning. There's a lot of learning. I can see that. First thing first, right? You like to learn. You probably like to go for courses, okay? And you also like to preach what you have learned, okay? The interesting part is there are at least two or three so-called stuff that I can see from your chart, right? To shows that, right, you not only preach, right, but the particular area that you focus on, right, and you probably get a lot of satisfaction, and probably get also a lot of remunerations from the part that you help other people, right, to sort of like gain confidence.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I pause a while is to let you digest because okay, the Angmo word is self-worth lah. Okay, so sometimes Singaporeans cannot self-worth like take some time to understand, right? So I use the word confidence. Basically, whatever coaching, whatever stuff that you do, right, is to help them ultimately, right, to gain this part, so that they can reach out to do what they are doing. Okay, I don't know about you mentioned you sort of like hosting and stuff like that. That's what I heard. The hosting part, right? Actually really skewed towards the mindset part, self-improvement and confidence, and that is like quite obvious. It's like shown up there. So the hosting part, right? Even you're doing the hosting part, I think there will be some elements that what I mentioned just now that add on to the hosting part. But of course, I can't really see you. Right? Usually Virgo, right? They are quite clean cut, They are like how to say. Their haircut is very clean. They are very neat. They are very tidy and stuff like that, right? So that you're kind of like Virgo also lah. But there's this part that's quite interesting about you, right? You are also a rebel by your own rights. Let me quantify what I'm trying to say. Right? Yeah, while you conform to the formal structure, which you do, conform to the formal structure in society, like even your coach, right? You will go by the formal approach. But there's this part about you that you want to be unconventional and a bit xiao lah, you know what I mean? Sometimes. Okay, I just quote this example. Unorthodox, unconventional, unorthodox, and whichever you put it. Yeah. So maybe you ask your coachee to jump, bungee jump or something like that. I'm just quoting an example. Like it's just a rebel that you will just cross the boundary. But when you cross the boundary, it's still within the box. Because ultimately, from all the chart, right, you are quality conscious. That means to say you will go according to the social norms when you so-called do your coaching. So that's the thing that you will come up. The good thing for you, right, is I just add on a bit, right? Last year seems to be a little bit more hazy for you in terms of your career. Do you need me to repeat?
Last year.
Last year is 2020.
Let me think. Hazy in what sense?
Hazy means you the usual confident you, right? Suddenly, like you may like need some more like a confirmation or sense of direction of what you're going to do next, especially towards your career.
Yeah, because I believe yes, because I was like how do I put it? I had my own business coach, and I was like a bit clueless about what I should and what I could do for the next few months to few years as well. So somehow or rather, I was a bit hazy on that, and because I thought of like, if I keep doing like podcasts and not earning much money at the start, right? Even though I have like big guests coming on board the show, I was thinking like, hey, I want to earn more. I want to be bigger than who I am on social media, like in a sense. So that's why it was a bit hazy. So I managed to get some coaching from coaches and mentors as well. So somehow or other pivot me to another level for this year, in a sense.
So that confirmed, because from the chart just now I mentioned that we can actually predict some events, right? So last year you are a bit floating, you are a bit like a sense of direction, not really there. So this year there's more clarity, although I can see that still a little bit of remnants of last year, but not to worry. Okay, so I think the main thing that hits you is probably March 2019. onwards until probably around February this year before the COVID thing start. I think after February onwards you start to have more clarity. That's what we can see from the chart. There's this particular planet called Neptune. Neptune is upstairs as we speak, have a certain aspect in your natal chart. And Neptune usually comes with a bit of confusion, vagueness and stuff like that. So this year seems to be better. At least you know where to head towards to.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Rayson has this relationship question that he mentioned.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, after going through a breakup and all this kind of stuff, want to know like, what is my love life like for the next 6 months or 1 year or whatsoever, to understand more, so that I won't commit those unnecessary mistakes and be more focused on what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, that's a question. I can certainly do a reading on you right now to see whether you got any romance luck. In Chinese astrology, we call Tao Hua. But the thing is, it's not going to if I were to tell you that. You know why? Because even you got Tao, right, and you still don't jump out of the stuff that actually hinder you in your previous relationship, right? You probably have some difficulty in hanging on to a new relationship. So I think the most important thing is to find out, right, what actually happened to you during the previous relationship, and I can sort of confirm tell you that the patterns of the behavior that you have, right, is repetitive. So I think that's the more important part. Yeah. So and that will be quite in depth. So I don't think I want to review like what happened in the previous relationship. What probably will be.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
We can take it offline, no problem with that. Yeah. But
we can take that.
It's not the right question to ask, because I can tell you that it's just that it's not going to serve you. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I get what I mean. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Okay. So we can take it offline. We can talk it.
Definitely.
This session more on career. We focus on career. So
definitely.
You should be really focused on the coaching part. I think you are like in Chinese we say you 天生就是吃这行饭的人 You know what I mean? Because it's very evident. Before you start this coaching practice, right? If you work for somebody and all this, right? And if you're not having a role that revolves this kind of a teaching or preaching or helping people with their knowledge and stuff like that, right? You are likely to be suffering in that role. Because I don't know what you were as before. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so basically, I'm a psychiatric nurse too, while dabbling with hosting, and also at the same time, not in terms like those go and be a show host on TV, but I have my own podcast. Okay, so something like what Stacey is doing together with her husband as well, and of course, I'm also like coaching people on personal branding, and also teaching them how to be strategically networking with people who are of high caliber, like those entrepreneurs who are very successful, those Forbes featured or even Yahoo Finance featured kind of entrepreneur, without paying them a single dime, to network with them and even interview them or even collaborate with them as well. So that's what I'm teaching people on that.
I think you are on the right path. At least what you told me, I think you're on the right path. And I sort of like quite sure that you are enjoying this part of the process.
Oh yeah, I do.
If it's in your chat,
you're doing very well in it actually.
Pretty thankful, to be able to interview all these top entrepreneurs from around the world, and even like Singaporean entrepreneurs, like people like Eric Fong, or even like Dr. Patrick Liu, and so many others. So really grateful to be able to be one of their contacts. So
Okay, so for you, I will just end off here. I hope you get something.
No problem.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Catch up with you soon. Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so next we have Jay. So I will add Jay to the studio now. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you for waiting.
Okay, Jay, right, your chart, right? First of all, you are born in Scorpio month, that part you know. after some calculations, also that yeah, you are actually still kind of Scorpio lah. But you also have a sub-signature type. What we call sub-signature type means there's an additional type that so-called jump out on your chart, right? You are also a bit of a Taurus. Okay, in English lah, English a bit of the Taurus lah. So you have Scorpio and Taurus. So Scorpio, have you like read out some of the columns that previously what Scorpio behavior and stuff like that, right? So usually the convention stuff that they wrote about Scorpio not very kind lah. They will say they're very mysterious, secretive and stuff like that. True enough, I think Scorpio sometimes can be quite private in nature. Okay. But the thing is, Scorpio have your own merits, they own strengths and stuff like that. So your chart, right, on the Scorpio part, right, you are good with interacting with people actually, because Scorpio is also quite high in terms of water element. Meaning to say, when they talk to people, they can suss up the emotional view from the person. Okay, Scorpio, right, plus other elements in your chart, right. Seems to point towards that you are kind of like also kind of a risk adverse person. That means to say you probably will not take a lot of risk lah. Okay, so that's general kind of make of your so-called your personality type. Now the career part, right, is interesting. When I see the chart, right, it seems to point to a few things. It seems to point towards the what you call that, the risk management side. Okay. Something like risk management, maybe not withstanding to these few areas, right? Maybe towards the finance, insurance, investments, risk management, or even compliance lah. Seems to be in this area because you have a talent. I really say you have a talent. You look for things. You look at things. When you look at something, right? You probably will look at the downside first.
Yeah.
Okay. That means what can fail lah. Okay. So you'll be a perfect candidate, right? If I need to hire someone, or I'm not sure whether you're working for someone or you have your own business, right? That you will see this part. You see this part very fast, and because you see this part very fast, right? What happens is you'll be a perfect candidate to look for this kind of downfall, and then you prepare for what's coming. So in for example, risk management, right? You will look at like the compliance part. You set up probably some structure and stuff like that to make sure people comply with the rules and all these things so that they don't get into trouble. Okay, that's what I'm pretty good at. Okay. Interesting, right? The other part is quite good at with psychology also. Because naturally you are quite good with people and you can sense out the feelings, right? The career indicator also seems to point towards that you have no issues like talking to people and so-called like I put the word counseling lah. You're quite good at that lah. You can okay. But because you deal with all this negative energy, so to speak, right? Because sometimes when they come to you, there are a lot of troubles and stuff like that, right? So you just need to so-called like be wary of yourself so that you don't get stuck in and then so-called get affected by this kind of thing, because you keep seeing the downside of stuff. So naturally you'll get all the negative stuff. That's one. There's one part also that's quite evident in you, right? That you are quite good in giving advice. First thing first, right? You kind of like can gather a lot of information. You can possibly get a lot of information or a lot of knowledge. And because you have all this knowledge, right, what happens is, what translates to it is you like to give people advice. But the problem is sometimes when they don't listen to you, you get pretty worked up.
Sorry?
But you probably will get a bit angry when people don't listen to you. Yeah. So sometimes, at your best, right, you can really give quality advice. If you don't watch it, right, it will be a one-way traffic. You know what I mean? So when I combine all these things, right, I would say that I would think that you probably will ace more in terms of the so-called the risk management. So I keep mentioning risk management, or some research stuff also will probably help you a bit. Your role will involve all these things. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Okay, so that's the functional role that you mentioned.
So it doesn't mean that you need to be in a fund management house. It doesn't mean in the finance sector. You can be looking at the risk management side, right, in any other industry. So it's not industry specific. So yours is a very good example. While I quote that kind of example, right, it doesn't mean that you must work in that side. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine working there.
Yeah. Sorry. Currently, no.
I can't imagine doing anything like finance or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, but you can actually more on the risk management side. Yeah. Okay. Okay, like Rayson, right? I just touch on the thing. I just mentioned your age, lah. Yeah, I think it's okay, lah. Because you have just turned 30, right? So actually, for most of us, right, when we turn around 29 to 30, right? For in your case, it's actually last year. For Rayson case, it's also last year. You just turned 29. There's this particular phenomenon we call Saturn Return. That means to say the planet Saturn, right? Actually, what happened is it go one revolution and go back to the same place. It takes around 29 to 30 years. So usually when it go one round and then keys back your natal Saturn chart, right? I mean the planet position, right? What happened is you experience kind of again a bit loss of direction, don't know what you want to do in your career and stuff like that. So last year was quite prominent for you, 2019. Same case for Rayson also. 2019 was also an important year. But in your case, right, it may be a build up for 2018. 2018, if I were to point out, right, is quite a significant year for you on the downside.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I will not go into details because there's quite a bit of information on 2018. So I just don't know whether is the 2019 stuff, right? Is there any snowball from 2018? But if I were to say 2018 is a tough year or a stressful year for you, right? If the chart is yours, right, should be quite dun can nail down to 2018, right? It's kind of like a 刻苦铭心的 year. You understand Mandarin?
Yeah, a bit.
It's like a very dramatic year, lah. Okay.
Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I point out 2018. Okay. So yeah. Actually, what are you working as right now, or you your own business, or you work for something?
I'm looking for a job still. Yeah.
Sorry.
Looking for a job still.
Oh, looking for a job. Okay. But your previous setup?
I was a vet nurse, and then before that, I was a human nurse.
Okay. I get this part.
So MK, it took me a while to register.
Okay, there's because yours revolve 8 house so you can be involved with the life and death stuff so that's one part that I usually don't mention so either funeral parlor or the because in hospital you always see the life and death okay. Usually I don't say it because I more point towards the management side. I mean the fund management side and the fund side because you have a Taurus sub-signature. You actually quite practical certain part of you. That means you will see you will weigh the option cost and benefit this much of a risk that I take how much return I get back. You got this kind of a notion that's always in you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So for you, right? Do you want to ask me anything about your career? What have I answered you? I hope I have answered you.
I don't know. I was thinking of pursuing something towards the art side.
Is it more like a passion, or you want to turn it to something that you can make money?
It's more like a passion, yeah.
Right. Honestly speaking, right, from your chart, right, it doesn't show that. It doesn't show so much on the artistic and the poetry side of your natal chart. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it shows more on the practicality part and risk averse part, like taking care of what's the downsides and all these things. So doesn't really point to the side. So can you actually visualize yourself, like if you take on this role that you want to pursue, right, in the artistic form, right? Have you like do a baby step kind of to try it out, or
Sorry?
have you take like some baby step to like enter some part of this arts thing that you want to
Yeah,
do?
kinda, yeah.
Okay. Uh, okay. Don't let me hold you back, because even though the charts don't say this, right? You want to try, you can try actually. It's just that from the chart, it may not point towards that you like it that much, lah. But never mind. If you weigh the cost, which you are very good, right? You weigh the cost and
Yeah.
no, you are very good at that. Okay, you are perfect. Okay, you will weigh the cost and benefit, right? And then try it out, and you feel that it's not the cup of tea, then you can switch back, lah.
True.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Alternative, right? You can actually have a day job, right? Which is go back to the nursing first, and on the side do some side gigs and some project basis or that kind of stuff. Then once you're more ready, right, then you can have both feet up. You don't have to have like both feet up now. I mean, sometimes we got to go on the practical approach also, lah. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
true.
sit on the table, then you can't be like going your passion all the way, right?
Yeah.
So that's something we want to. I want to address also, lah. Okay. Okay. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
You did, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so Jay, do you have any more questions for MK at this point?
I don't think so, yeah.
Okay, so anything we can chat a bit later and catch up. All right?
Yeah, thanks so much for your insights. It's very insightful.
No
I
problem.
appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so next up, our last participant is Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for waiting.
Yes, no problem.
I just am straight up because I think we are a little bit pressed for time. I have the time in front of me right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so for Sam, you are very, 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 very I would say adaptable, or okay, in astro terms we call mutable, lah. You score very high on that part. So what it means in English, it means that you are very flexible, you're very adaptable. You like to jump around. Just like I mentioned I don't know whether you were in for Rayson. Rayson actually needs variety in his life, right? You confirm guarantee job you need, okay? You cannot stay in one spot. So I don't know, you're working for somebody. Later then you tell me, you don't tell me now, right? Or what?
Okay.
If you're working for somebody, you need to have that kind of variety in your job scope, okay? That means to say you probably work best in some kind of project basis or freelance and new things, new stuff. So that will keep you going. If every day do the same thing, I think you will suffer big time.
Okay.
So that's quite evident. That means it stands out straight away. I see your chart, right? The thing that stands out is this part, okay? So if you're in a relationship or anything like that, right, your partner must know that you also need variety. Cannot bring you back to the same restaurant and eat. Must bring you some place else. So that's the important part that your partner need to know. Okay, but that's beside the point. Okay, so okay, then the other part, right, you actually have a flair for both. That means to say, right, when we say somebody who are very objective, when we say somebody very objective, right, means the person is kind of like logical, kind of rational and stuff like that, right? You actually kind of objective, okay? But the other side of you, right, you can also be very subjective. So actually you have the best of both worlds. So what do I mean by that, right? Okay, first thing first, you know your sun in Gemini, right? That means to say you're Gemini. When I did the calculation, you are also very Gemini. In fact, right, you are the kind of like 有点小聪明 that kind lah. How to say 小聪明? Witty. Okay, witty in English lah. So that part, right, is kind of your strength. Okay, you are very good with mental activities. You I don't know whether you play chess or not, but one of the things that you can be very good at is like chess or strategy games or strategy stuff like that. So also a very good planner. Okay, but the other part is you tend to overthink. Okay, a lot of things happen in your head. Okay, this one you know.
Yeah.
Actually, the amount of things that gone through your mind on a daily basis. Actually, no, on a minute basis, right? Actually, that's like a kind of like a lot of things happening in your mind. You think very fast. You sometimes you will ask yourself, where did that come from? So because of that, right, you can actually extract. You can actually have some ideas just out of nowhere, right? Oh, we should do this. So you are like the kind that always suggests ideas. So when you're young, I don't know whether you like suggest some naughty ideas are probably mostly from you. But that's a good part. That's a good part because a lot of mental activities. The other part is you kind of also pick up quite a fair bit of information. You like to do a bit of research. You like to pick up knowledge. In fact, things that you're interested in, you will spend a lot of time gathering information and knowledge about it. The only thing that you need to look out for is you tend to debate a lot if somebody sort of like a opposing view of what you have. Okay?
Yeah, question me. Yeah.
Sorry?
Is it like question my thinking and something like that?
Yeah, so if you say you should do something, you should do in an A way, then people say, no, we should do a B way. You will tend to put out a strong debate. Debate is the right word that I will use. But that is also your strength, you see, because your strength will involve a lot of strategic planning and stuff like that. Okay? Yeah, it really revolves around the so-called the concepts, ideas, all these things you can get very fast. Yeah. Actually, what do you work as?
I'm actually auditor.
Okay. Okay. It's kind of like a very logical mind, right? That you need to be
Yeah.
inside,
The
right?
safe route. The safe route.
Safe route. Actually, I tell you, you're quite Uranian also. It's kind of like boring for you, right? Unless you're auditor, you need to go different companies, interact with different people, right? See different accounts,
Yes.
right? Okay, so
But
I think
then actually after a while, like because I've been in the industry for about 4 years, so actually I'm actually thinking of like doing something else because like what you say, like it has become mundane for me. And as in there's definitely challenges in every job that I go to because depending on the scope and the size and the complexity of it. So I'm actually like thinking, because I actually kind of like teaching, you know what I mean, like coaching, because like in my workplace we have like a coaching culture, and then when I was in school I also like, you know, sort of like, for example, like you said, when I'm good at something, for example like POA, then I would like to like teach my friends and share my knowledge along that line.
Yeah, you can go into the teaching part. Let me put it this way. Actually, knowledge and ideas, right? All these are your forte. You're still on the right track. But let me put it this way, right? Just to make sure that I read your chart correctly, right? So let's say you're still in the auditing role, right? But I give you a different kind of project to work on. Does it like sort of like entice you?
Yeah, it does. It still does. Like actually, auditing to me, it still makes me excited. Like, you know, I like to go into new jobs and everything. But then it's like, you know, especially those recurring jobs, I feel that maybe I might be too comfortable in it, and then I get a bit complacent. I feel.
I want to bring another element to you. This one probably not a lot of people know about you, but it's like a hidden kind of thing, right? In your chart, right? That, there's this competitive streak in you. There's this element with the Mars planet that shows that you are kind of like a competitive. So you cannot sit there and the easy stuff you cannot want. You want to compete with people. So, but you don't compete. You may not compete. I say you do not say you don't. You may not compete or upfront with people. That means you won't tell them that, oh, I compete with you. You'll be behind the scene. You probably want to compete with people. Does that like sounds like you? Like maybe the most easy thing to look at is when you are schooling, then you probably place yourself with somebody and then you just compete with the person, but you don't tell the person actually you're competing with the person.
As in, I wouldn't say that I'm competing with someone. I would say that I always like to compete with myself. Like I would put myself as a benchmark. Like for example, because I was in cheerleading also. So like for example, in terms of like cheerleading is my passion. So when I execute a stunt and I can do it, I would want to reach the next level. Yeah, I wouldn't say like, oh, I want to beat this person. No, to me, it's more of like, I want to achieve this because this is my goal.
Okay, so can I just take two step back, right? So just now you say you want to venture into which area again, specifically?
Teaching,
Teaching.
yeah.
But you know, if you teach, sooner or later you teach the same thing, like you can tahan.
That's why I never try. I also not sure, lor.
But
No, but
interesting,
what's Sam functional role?
sorry,
What's Sam's functional role?
what is sense functional role?
Yeah. So based on her chart.
Oh, what is a functional role? She's very good with logic stuff, concept stuff, statistics. So that's why she's in the auditing part, because she's very high air. She's a Gemini. She's good with all these things. Okay, which is most ladies, you don't see a lot of ladies in the accounting side So, but she's a logical person. So meaning to say, you talk to her, she will give you all the logical advice But there's the other part about her, right, that is hidden, right? She got a subtype which is Pisces, right? She can also sometimes be a little bit emo, okay? But because of the emo part, right, she can connect with people emotionally. So you always have to the extreme, right? A person who is very logical, right, tend to not to be very able to connect with people on an emotional level. But she had the best of both worlds actually. So when you talk about this, right, 她收放自如 that means she can do both sides. So if she want to teach, right, okay, the only concern is she needs to have a lot of variety, first thing. Number two, she need to have some competition. In this case, right, she mentioned that she always compete with herself. Fine. But if that job doesn't give her, or that role doesn't give her that kind of competitiveness, right, she again will be, okay, I just got to say this, right, you may be, I'm just not saying you to a certain extent, okay, while you still have a subtype Pisces, right, you may have a man, you may look like a man trapped in a woman's body, you know what I mean? There's this part about that, the masculine part about you that you want to win. I hope I'm correct on this point. So you must have that kind of the role that you're in, right, must have that kind of so-called opportunity, right, to let out that kind of fire. If not, you go back, you let out on your partner. So it's okay. So that part, I think you and the other part also say that you kind of like you will go on the ambitious path You will have the tendency to want to move up in the career. Simple English means a bit more towards the ambitious kind of a woman.
That's true.
对吗？
Yeah.
Sorry, 听不到。
As in, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, to answer your question, it's not so much about the teaching, although you have all the knowledge you can have, but the surrounding, right, must have a lot of variety and must have that kind of competition there. If not, I tell you, you move on. Then you thought that teaching is not my stuff. No, actually, even right now, right, the auditing side, right, if you can have some competitiveness injected inside there, right, or you can have some kind of variety, right, you will still like that role. Yeah. The reason why you're asking that, right, is because both of them actually, just now, Mason and Jay, right, actually they are like 29, 30 years old, right? The reason why you're asking the question is because you have two planets that happens that to so-called kena this year in Singaporean terms, we say kena this year, right? That you were a bit hazy. I use the word hazy. I just don't want to be specific, but you know I'm trying to say that part, right? With regards to work, okay, and or partner, romantic partner. So these two sides, because it's again this year is kind of like pop up So it can be a partnership at workplace, or it can be a romantic partner. That in general you seem to have a bit of trying to find a direction for your work this year particularly.
Yeah.
对不对?
Yeah. It's like just suddenly I this year just feel that it's like maybe it's time for me to move on to something else.
Yeah, but it's just this year because June 1/8 to April 1/9, that period of time, right? Might have, not say might have, but actually the planet is quite kind of strong. So is there a sudden change in your career? But because you are quite young, I also don't know when you start work, right?
June 1/8 to
June 1/8
April.
to April 19, right? Either you change your career, or you change your boss, or you change
I
your
actually changed department 2019 in June. Applied for transfer so I went to like another department. Like it's still audit, but it's a general audit.
Let me see.
19 last year.
Okay, so that's the change that you have 啦。but 你 change 了之后，你会不会后悔啊？因为看起来你后悔嘞。
Okay lah, not really lah.
Not really 哈。
Not really. No, because anyway both is also audit. Yeah.
But like interpersonal relationship now that okay?
As in because we change department, so we don't really know, like, because we are, like usually when you start as a A1. So it's like you grow up with your batch mates. So when I went to another department, like sort of don't have anyone with me lah. That like, yeah.
Okay. So it's more like the trying to get used to it lah, the new environment.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's you didn't lose an arm or a leg lah during that process lah. So it's not the jialat one lah. But there is a sudden change lah during that period of time, which is okay. So then I try to validate the event so that at least I know that your timing is more or less good now. Okay, so your birth timing, what I mean. Okay, so yeah. Then this year, yeah lah, you still have the la la land a bit like. Yeah. So to answer your question directly, right? You like to acquire knowledge and all this thing. I think you can do the teaching lah. It's just that you notice I keep emphasizing, right? The competitive part about the whole thing. That means you must have some fire in it, or you can put yourself into it, and must have some variety to it. I add one more thing to it, right? Sometimes you think too much. Okay.
Indecisive. Is it a Gemini thing?
No, there is a Gemini thing plus another aspect in your chart, right? That shows that you think a lot and you think very fast and you think like nanosecond one. Okay. So yeah, so your mind basically no rest. If I were to put it bluntly. Okay, so that part you gotta watch it lah. So execution part, right? You may need to find someone to help you lah. Because you keep thinking no use ma. You weigh the pro and cons then you just decide and then move on . As long as you won't die, nobody will die in the process. Then okay what?
But I think I have a nature of being very indecisive because as in this career move will be something that is me stepping out like after my first job so that's why I am still not very certain of whether I want to or not. I don't know whether it will be the right move to do it.
The functional role, yes, you'll be in the right way because you acquire a hell lot of knowledge. Okay, you want to teach and you want to preach. And the only way you want to share this knowledge, right? The way I see from a chart, it's not the kind of in-depth kind of sharing. There are stuff when you teach, right? You teach from A to Z, right? When you teach like mathematics and stuff like that, right? It's like a kind of mundane kind of thing. You don't go by that. You go by a bit more surface information. What do you want to teach actually?
Actually wanted to go into, as in I was trying to try MOE, those kind of teaching programs. Like go and try out first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have the feeling that psych will bore you to the max.
I also have a feeling.
If you make the feeling, you don't trust your own feeling.
No, but I also don't really want to stay in audit. Like, because it's like, I feel a bit like stuck at this moment.
This year, yes. You cross this year, then you make a decision, okay?
Yeah. That's why I definitely will not make it now, but I say I will think about it and then start looking next year.
Because this year there's a planet that arrive at your natal chart, the summer position that interact with him. So this year at least until October, right? You have this kind of feeling. So my suggestion to you is you take 2 steps back. You wait for next year January onwards, then you start to think whether you want to make that move. Now the second thing is you sort of answer yourself, why do you want me to like tell you as if this is probably not a fit, right? Okay, then the question is 为什么 don't want to accept the truth that you know?
I don't know. Maybe like what you said, I need someone to validate my thoughts, like to tell me what to do in a way.
Not really. You don't need someone. Actually, you're quite confident one. The only thing is this year you have some transit. Transit means the planet hit something, right? That's why this year a bit blur. Okay. That's why I asked you to chotomate. You wait for next few months, then you make a decision. Okay. But you also know that MOE the stuff that you teach confirm mundane one. Then I keep saying you need a lot of variety. Then you tell me you want to go in and teach the same subject for the next 20 years. Don't really cut it.
As in, I don't know that's the thing, because like I'm still exploring what I really want to do.
Yeah, so today, right, I hope if you trust me when I read the thing and it's sort of like accurate, right? then you know already. So you have no excuse not knowing what
Yes.
you don't know. Okay. What happens after this, right, will be your own personal choice. That's what I
Okay.
always tell my client.
Yes, understand. Thank you very much.
Okay. What
Um,
I keep saying that, but you want to insist doing that, then I cannot stop you.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, Ken, thank you so much.
no problem.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Okay. So I have one question, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Like Chinese metaphysics, people tend to choose the right date for, let's say, making a decision, or the day to open the restaurant. I mean, is there a particular date for Western astrology to change a career date? Do you get what I mean?
Okay, I will give you relatively long answer for your short question because I need to give you the context before I come down. Okay, first thing first, in Western astrology, there is such practice like called date selection, but in Chinese astrology, we call it date selection or 择日. That means to say you find a good date. In Western astrology, we call it election. Election. Okay, we elect a date for important and major event, basically a birth of an event. So, for example, let's say you want to open a company. Okay, open up a company. The birth time. That means when there's no entity, you have an entity. That means to say ABC Private Limited. That particular timing is important. Okay, but then again, it's kind of hard for us to choose because everything is electronic right now. If you ever set up a company, so there's a bit of technique down there, but usually I also don't really focus too much on that. The other example is, let's say you want to go through not you, somebody, because this one I mentioned something a bit more negative, right? Somebody need to go through a surgery, for example, right? So then, okay. But then we also have to be practical about this. If you see certain aspect that are going to last for a few months and not suitable for surgery, right? We cannot tell the client, hey, you don't do surgery, you wait 2 months later, then you do, because we are not medical trained, you see. So that, to give you a context, yes, we have such a practice, but the thing is, for me, I will go by the practically part of it. Okay, so the election of the date is to give you a boost. Okay, it's not going to be a game changer. Okay, in my practice, at least that's what I see. So good if you want to select a date, you have, and let's say you within the date you can find a suitable date. No best date, only most suitable date. Then we elect the date, then we do the thing. But of course, if you want to go down and buy grocery, no need to select date only for major events then you select dates So I draw that thing is to let you see the extreme Okay, so important stuff. Okay, set up company, set up stuff basically anything that need a budget, or let's say a launch of a product. Okay, let's say you need to launch a product. That one can choose one because you can dictate when you so-called either cut the ribbon or announce to the whole world that the product become in existence, that this thing goes on. That one you can. In fact, that one is much more easier because you just press the button, you announce to the whole world, consider from no such product become got such product.
Okay.
So election, yes, it's one of the things that I do. Yeah. And let's say you want to shift into a house, I also do that. That kind of thing.
Sure. So that's the east part, and then there's the western part, which we talk about today. So I think we have overrun a little bit, but thank you so much, everyone, for joining our first live webinar with MK. So thank you, MK, for accepting our invitation here today, and thank you for your time. And I think we learned a lot. Yeah, and I'm sure the participants have, I think some comments like Raisin have posted saying that it's very interesting, Yeah. So I think they definitely have gained quite a bit from it. So I think we can have MK's contacts posted at the end of this. So you guys can contact him if you want to consult him further. And yeah, so I think that's it for today. Yep. So MK,
maybe I just, because this is tagged to my Facebook, right? You can just follow me on my Facebook. Also have Messenger. But if you want, right, I can also just flash a bit of my contact here, just for maybe 5-10 seconds, so that you can take down or take a picture if you want. Anything, you can just give me a ring or message me. Yeah, just flash for another 5 seconds if they want screenshot or just take down. and can follow me. And this is tagged to my Facebook, so you can follow me also. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So anything you can also drop us a private message, and we can reply you accordingly. So thank you so much for your time today, MK, as well as everyone else. So have a great afternoon, and have a good week next week.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.